Thank you, Mayor and members of City Council. City Council uses the consent agenda to consider items that are that are non-controversial and routine. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and the vote of council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a council member or citizen with the consent of council. The consent agenda contains the following items. The first under consent is for the purpose of approving the resolution requesting abandonment of Arrow Point Parkway from the North Carolina Department of Transportation's road system to the City of Monroe for future maintenance as a municipal street. The second item under consent is for the purpose of approving the budget amendment concerning golf course improvements for fiscal year 2019 totaling $35,000. Item 3 is for the purpose of calling for 3 public hearings to receive public comment, each of which involves requests for zoning map and text amendments. The first of which concerns property located at 501 Charles Street from residential single-family R10 to conditional district 501 Charles Street 2018. The second call for hearing concerns property located at 4209 Old Charlotte Highway from conditional district South Piedmont Community College Amendment 1 to conditional district South Piedmont Community College Amendment 2. And the third one concerns Code of Ordinances, Title 15, Land Usage, Chapter 156, Zoning Code, Section 156.124, Overlay Districts. Item 4 involves minutes and reports. Item 4A involves disbursements from City Council's discretionary fund. There were 3 sets of disbursements for this period. The first of which was Mayor Pro Tem Gary Anderson disbursed to the Monroe Police Department Explorer Post $500. The second is for Councilmember Sluda Anthony that made 3 disbursements to the following: Community Health Services for Union County Incorporated in the amount of $500, Rotary Club of Monroe in the amount of $600, and to the Union County Community Shelter in the amount of $150. Item 4B involves financial reports for 2018, and as a summary, the total fund balance is $27,321,128 as of June 5th, 2018. A few subsets of the total fund balance are: fund balance reserved by policy is $9,479,708. The unassigned general fund balance is $4,111,000 and change, and the assigned fund balance is $1.8 million. There are 9 sets of minutes lettered 4C through J. Item 4K is a summary of contracts awarded, change orders approved, and city manager settlement of claims. There were 53 contracts for the period totaling $734,000 and change. There were no claims settled for this period. Item 5 is for the purpose of amending Schedule 1B, speed limits to include the speed limit on Spud Smith Street as 25 miles per hour and amending the Schedule 2 through streets to include the stop condition on Mason Street southbound from Walkup Avenue. Item 6 is for the purpose of approving tax releases for the month of May and June in the amount of $975.17 and $64.49 respectively, which were created by a change or reduction in value for the City of Monroe by the Union County Tax Assessor. This concludes my synopsis of items placed on the consent agenda for your consideration and action, Mayor and City Council.
Okay, any questions, council?
Move we approve.
Have a motion, have a second. Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
That passed. We'll go into the regular agenda. We have several public hearings at this time, and we'll start with item 7, declaring property located at 613 West Park Drive.
Good evening. I'm Lisa Stywinner, the Director of Planning and Development. I would like to bring before you a petition for ordinance to declare 613 West Park Drive unfit for human habitation and demolition. I'd like to first orient you to the subject property. It is highlighted in blue. It is located along West Park Drive, which directly abuts the East Elementary School. The site is approximately 0.23 acres and currently contains an existing dwelling that is 920 square feet. The dwelling has been vacant and abandoned since 2012. Code enforcement staff received complaints from the nearby community regarding the vacant, abandoned, and dilapidated dwelling. Due to complaints received, a petition was filed by staff and an inspection conducted by our code enforcement officer, Ms. Simpson, on October 2nd, 2017, in which multiple violations of the minimum housing ordinance were noted by staff: failing roof, rotten fascia boards and soffits, failing foundation, exposed plumbing, exposed electrical wiring, walls are not sturdy, the doors and windows are not weather tight, weak and missing floors throughout the house, and there were signs of vagrants in the house. I'd like to present pictures of the dwelling. That's kind of hard to see. The code enforcement officer held and conducted a minimum housing hearing on October 17th, 2017, in which the property owner was unable to attend. As a result of the hearing, the code enforcement officer made and entered an order finding said dwelling to be unfit for human habitation and in violation of the minimum housing ordinance, deemed the dwelling to be in a dilapidated condition, and ordered the property to be repaired within 90 days. 613 West Park Drive does have a tax value of the structure in the amount of $36,100. The land value is $14,500, and the cost to demolish, not include asbestos removal, is $8,550. HCB Construction, which is a licensed general contractor, provided the city an estimate in the amount of $23,940 to repair the dwelling, which is greater than 50% of the value of the dwelling. Due to the condition of this structure and adverse impact it has on the area, staff is recommending council adopt a demolition ordinance. And I'll be happy to answer your questions, and Ms. Simpson, the code enforcement officer, is here as well.
One question, is the owner a local person?
The owner, it's actually heir property. One of the heirs that has been in contact with the city, it lives in Washington, D.C.
And there's only one heir?
I know there's two, the one lady and a sister.
They've both been contacted though?
They have been in discussions with the city. The last conversation with Ms. Simpson was on July 9th. Ms. Barnes, one of the heirs, contacted staff and said they simply don't have the funds to repair and they don't have the funds to demolish.
But they do understand that the cost of it will be a lien against them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other questions? Hearing none, we'll take action. Have a motion?
Actually, Mayor, this is a public hearing.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry, it is a public hearing. Okay, thank you, Lisa.
One last question.
Yes.
I
Yes,
know
ma'am.
that it's unsafe for human habitation, but it's also adverse for the community as far as vagrancy and maybe children being injured and a health hazard.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you, Lisa.
Mm-hmm.
This is a public hearing. Anyone here who would like to speak in favor of 613 West Park Drive? Hearing none. Anyone here who speak in opposition of 613 West Park Drive? Hearing none, we'll close the public
Move we
hearing.
demolish.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any discussion? Hearing none, that'll pass. Okay. Item 8, property at 503 Winchester Avenue. Okay.
Lisa Stywinter again, Director of Planning and Development, and I'd like to bring before you another petition for an ordinance to declare 503 Winchester Avenue unfit for human habitation and demolition. The site is highlighted in blue. It is located along Winchester Avenue. It's approximately 0.24 acres and currently contains an existing 964 square feet dwelling that has been abandoned and vacant and dilapidated since 2015. Code enforcement staff received complaints from the Winchester neighborhood regarding the vacant, abandoned, and dilapidated condition of the dwelling. Due to these concerns, staff did file a petition to begin the minimum housing process. An inspection was done by the code enforcement officer, Robert Russian, on March 7, 2018, in which multiple violations of the ordinance were noted: a failing roof, rotten fascia boards and siding, failing foundation, missing front porch and rear porch, broken windows, exposed wiring, missing sheetrock on the walls and the ceiling, walls are not sturdy, weak and missing floors throughout the house, and signs of vagrants. I'd like to show you some pictures of the property. The property owner was notified by regular and certified mail of the minimum housing hearing scheduled for March 19th, 2018. Code enforcement officer held and conducted the hearing on March 19th. Property owner did not attend the hearing. As a result of the hearing, the code enforcement officer made an interim order finding said dwelling to be in violation of the minimum housing ordinance, deemed it uninhabitable and dilapidated condition, and ordered it to be repaired or demolished within 90 days. 503 Winchester Avenue has a tax value for the structure in $12,800. The land value is $12,300, and the cost to demolish would be $8,650. The HCB Construction, the licensed general contractor, provided a cost estimate to repair the dwelling of $40,270. which is greater than 50% of the dwelling. Due to the condition of this structure, staff is recommending council adopt the ordinance to declare the property unfit for human habitation and demolition. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
One, you said that the Winchester community complained, was it specific people or the organization?
The neighborhood, the Winchester Committee regularly brings this piece of property up for the last couple of years.
And the committee brought this up?
It's mentioned at most monthly meetings that it is an impact to their community, and it has been vacant and dilapidated for several years now.
Any vagrants going in now there?
Yes.
Or do you know? Okay. Okay, any other questions? Council? Okay, thank you, Lisa. This is a public hearing. At this time, I have 4 people signed up, and I can start with Ms. Albrook.
No, sir, just on, there's only 2 on this one, that's on the overlays.
Oh,
That's in your next one.
public hearing sign up sheet. Got them on public hearings, so that's why I'm
You got
doing
3 or 4, you have 4
Yeah.
public hearings tonight.
Okay. Ms. Meadows, Henry Meadows, Mr. Henry Meadows. You're up, sir, if you will, come to the podium if you would like to speak. And we have several people who probably want to speak. If we could hold it to 3 minutes each, we would be grateful for that.
My name is Henry Meadows Jr. I live on 825 Monroe Street. My Aunt Susie owns the property, and I've been paying tax for years and years, but I haven't been able to go over there and check it on it. But I received this letter, and I don't fully understand what they mean by this. I know it had grown up, but they haven't notified me anything about doing anything to the property or anything. But I know the city had contacted me. They wanted to buy the land. I thought maybe they might want to expand the cemetery over there, so I agree with it. But it was willed to me and my nephew, Wilton Meadows, and so his family, it really ain't done anything, but I took care of all the bills and paid tax on it for, I don't know how many years when the house was up on it and all that, but the conflict been between Wilton's family and my family, because when his father died, didn't leave no will, and so the city told me, said, the man in the city told me, said they had to get, for each one of them to have to verify, you know, that it's okay for me to turn it over to me since I had been paid everything out. The lawyer told me a long time ago, said that I would spend more on it than what it's worth. So I've been waiting for them to contact me again and see what they're gonna do about it. So I've been waiting on them, and that's it. But the city hadn't notified me about anything about keeping the land up.
Now, I'm sorry, what relation did you say you was to the owner? I misunderstood.
She was my aunt.
Oh, she was your aunt, okay.
Yeah, my Aunt Susie, she was kind of like a midget. Okay. And the reason I kept it, because she worked at the chicken farm, she had arthritis and everything, you know, and I just didn't want to just if the house was on it, then they got rid of the house. And so, but I've been paying tax on it for about 30-some odd years or so. Okay. And then I had to pay for her. But I didn't know he had that many children until after she died.
Okay.
Mayor, I think the quick question for the speaker is, you're here on 503 Winchester Avenue, is that correct?
No, the property is on, I think it's on West, it's right there by the cemetery.
Okay, was that West Park Drive?
That lot is right there.
You talking about Carter Avenue, sir?
You know what,
It's
the road used to go right
Avenue.
through by the cemetery?
Is it Adams Street you're talking about, or Carter Avenue?
Wyatt Street,
What?
Wyatt Street, one right behind the
Yeah,
cemetery.
right,
Coming
yeah.
out into John Street.
Okay.
and also
Which property is that?
I think the reason I asked that question
glad you
is that it doesn't appear to be the property that's on the agenda. 503 Winchester is the property that council is considering for demolition. So this is purely, I think you've talked about the cemetery expansion. I don't believe that is related to all this. This is a property that doesn't meet the minimum standards of fitness for a house. And so because it doesn't meet the minimum standards, before it can be demolished by the city, the city's code enforcement staff has to bring it to the city council, and the city council has to make a decision. So anyone who's not here on 503 Winchester on this particular hearing, so I'll let you know this is only about 503 Winchester.
Okay, so Mr. Meadows, thank you for rising, but the property we're talking about is on Winchester. Yours is a different property, so it's a miscommunication, we're sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you very much. I'm glad we caught that. Okay,
So we'd ask for
I have a Rachel Lindsay. Is this for 503 Winchester? If you would like to speak, ma'am. So we're right this time on 503.
Hi, my name is Rachel Mara Lindsay. I'm here about the property on 503 Winchester Avenue, which we've been dealing with for some time. And I've been working with, talking to Robert, about the property, which has been a nuisance to us because we are next door. We have people coming in and out of the property at night, and we can hear the noise. Now, I don't know how you all feel, but I don't think you all would want that next to you all house. This length of time, it's been there for quite some time, which really is a sore eye to us. So I'm here concerning that because we have been dealing with this in and out for several years. And each time I talk to Brother Robert, he always telling me they're working on it, going to the city council. So when I receive the letter, I want to make sure that I'm here to voice my opinion that it's been a sore eye to us because it's next door. And I'm quite sure if it been in your neighborhood, the house would have been gone.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Is anyone else who would like to speak on 503 Winchester? Okay, we'll close this public hearing.
I make a motion that we go ahead and.
I second the
I
motion.
have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Okay, that's taken care of. We have a public hearing on zoning map amendment request, text amendment. Okay, Ms. Lisa handling that one.
Carrie's gonna handle that.
Thank you, Ms. Lisa.
Good evening, I'm Carrie Mendler with the Planning Department. Tonight I'm presenting a zoning text and map amendment request. Staff is proposing a text amendment to section 156.102 overlay district established, section 156.106 official zoning map, and section 156.124 overlay districts. The purpose of this text amendment is to remove the Winchester Neighborhood Overlay District from the zoning ordinance and the zoning map. The neighborhood overlay districts are neighborhood-specific requirements for various neighborhoods throughout the city. A representative from the Winchester area reached out to staff regarding the Winchester overlay requirements to see what could be done to help spur development in their neighborhood. Staff then reviewed the current requirements of the overlay district and determined that many of the requirements listed are hindering development. Additionally, there are many requirements regarding exterior preferences, and in 2016, the state took the ability away for local governments to require certain exterior features, such as exterior materials, the location of windows and doors, and roof pitch. And one of the unique requirements to the Winchester Overlay District is the requirement for a special use permit to be obtained prior to the construction of a principal structure. Special use permits have an application fee of $250 and a wait time of approximately 30 days while staff prepares all the documents for the Board of Adjustment. So by requiring a special use permit, additional fees and time are added to the process for somebody who wants to build on a vacant lot. Therefore, many individuals will likely seek other locations in the city to build a new home. Staff has had private individuals reach out regarding vacant lots in this neighborhood, but once we inform them of the requirements, we typically do not hear back from them. And after reviewing the ordinance requirements, staff did determine that the best course of action was to seek a text amendment to remove the Winchester Overlay District from the ordinance and the zoning map. Staff is hopeful that by removing these requirements, it will help spur development in this neighborhood. Planning Board and staff do recommend approval of removing the Winchester Overlay District from the overall neighborhood overlay district section. I'll be happy to answer any questions you might
I
have.
have one. You said you've had inquiries about people or companies that were asking about possibly building in the neighborhood?
Yes.
And after you gave the restrictions, then they didn't come back with these private developers or were they individuals?
From what I could tell, they were just private individuals who were interested in buying a vacant lot and building their house on it.
For rental properties or to own and live in?
That I'm not sure about.
They don't have to specify when they ask them questions?
No.
How many overlay districts are there in Monroe?
There are approximately 17, I believe.
It's just the only one that you asking to change?
I'm sorry?
It's just the only one you're asking to change?
At this time, yes. Mostly because of that special use permit. None of the other overlay districts require a special use permit
Okay, so
for development.
in terms, so that it's clear to me, this releases some of the restrictions and allows them to build a different type of house than if they go to another overlay district, they would be bound by those restrictions. For example, if they wanted to build it here and the restriction, and we passed the overlay district, perhaps they wouldn't have to have a porch or a driveway or something.
So, well, paved driveways are required from the zoning ordinance regardless. So that,
Regardless of overlay district.
no, that's for any new house that's built in the city.
Monroe.
And as far as a front porch or rear stoop or a paved driveway, or sorry, not a paved driveway, like a brick exterior, those are things that the state took our ability away to actually enforce.
So regardless of the overlay district, they required to, what restrictions would be lifted other than the $250?
Well, that's basically all that's left that the city can actually enforce. And
So it's only one restriction that would be lifted if it passed?
yes.
No, since the state law took away our ability to require any type of design guidelines, whether it's Winchester or one of the other neighborhood overlays, we can't enforce design guidelines anymore. So after you go through the Winchester overlay and you pick all of those out, the only really thing that's left that we can require is the special use permit. So by us suggesting or recommending to remove the overlay district to spur development would be really just removing that special use permit requirement.
I want to note.
Did that answer? And
One other thing is that, just to correct that, is that you still have the ability to enforce design guidelines, but only in historic districts. But in the overlays, the traditional overlays, you don't. But HDOs, the historic district overlays, that was preserved by the state because of how the state viewed historic preservation.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to table this one to one of our sessions where the council's briefed on it, to where we know what we're talking about. 'Cause
I
to
would
be
too,
quite
because
honest
for
with you,
many,
I
many
don't.
years in this area, dating back to the 80s, there's always been lots of promises made in that community. One time urban renewal was coming through, one time different parks, one time that was committed to commission. Mayor sat on with me, never materialized. We had renderings and everything. And I want to make sure we're not setting it up for something down the line, because people in this neighborhood, this is a historic neighborhood. And I need we to preserve the character of the neighborhood as well as the history of the neighborhood. And I don't want one day to see a row of shanties. So
Hey, I
that's
move
why I was
we-
going there. I second your motion.
I would ask that if you could amend your motion to table it to, if you have a meeting in mind, if it's the August 21 meeting or the September.
Yeah, be a 4 o'clock meeting.
Okay, so does the August 21 have a strategic attached?
It does.
So that, but also to continue it without further advertising, so staff does not have to
That'll
re-advertise.
be fine.
Did you say August 21st was open?
Yes.
The 4 o'clock meeting is open for this?
There's an agenda item already available to the manager.
Is that satisfactory with the council, August 21st, 4 o'clock meeting? Okay, I have a motion.
Yes, you
I
do.
have a second,
Have a
right?
second.
Table?
Just, I'm still not ready, because I have another question. One of the other things that we did with this overlay, and I think that this might be one of the sources of contention for some of the people that are here, it made sure that the properties that were built were in harmony with other properties in the area. Does removing this overlay remove that as well?
That would fall under a special use permit requirement.
Okay, that's what because again, one of the problems that the residents had was there are a lot of 50-foot lots in that area. And there have been properties built on those 50-foot lots that were not in harmony with the remainder of the neighborhood. And the neighbors worked extremely hard to come up with this overlay so that as properties were rebuilt on some of these infill lots, that it would not destroy the character of the neighborhood. So I just want to make sure that that if that's one of the things that we are getting ready to remove by removing the overlay, that I let the staff know that I'm going to be opposed to it, because that overlay district has done a lot of good for that neighborhood. It's kept a lot of properties from being built in there that would not have been complimentary to the neighborhood.
Mayor, the people are here, I think most of the people here tonight are from Winchester, right? They could come to that
Well, yeah,
meeting
August
for the city,
21st.
and they would understand better, as maybe we would do, exactly what we do.
Yeah, in fact, I would hope they would come, yeah.
I'm out of order, I know.
Well,
I wanted to sign, but I was gonna listen. I'm the pastor of
I
Mount.
thought, if you're gonna speak, come to the podium.
Yes.
Pastor.
I apologize for
We need your name and address just for our record.
Melvin L. Tate, from 902 LaSalle Street and pastor Mount Calvary Church. If there are 17 other overlay designations, then I'm very concerned why this one would be first to be removed from that. Winchester, to many of the people who live in that area and section, it has tremendous historical value. I'm not trying to lock us into the past, but there needs to be some sensitivity given that people who have remained and kept the community intact, whatever benefits there are to the other 16 remaining overlays, I do not want us to put ourselves into a position where it seems as though we're giving preferential treatment to some people and then putting others in a disadvantageous situation. And as people are aging and as communities are transitioning, some people don't have vested interests in the community. And I would, please ma'am, please sir, that you would consider, if you're gonna do it to one, make sure you be inclusive and do it to 16 others.
Reverend,
that would.
Reverend, it's gonna be tabled. We're gonna have a planning session and y'all are welcome to come.
We hope you'll come.
I'll be there.
August 21st,
Thank you for letting me be out of order.
always listen to my pastor. August 21st at 4 o'clock, that's when it'll be. Okay, I have a motion and a second to table, all in favor?
Make sure we let them know where the meeting is.
Yeah,
It'll
right
be
here in City Hall, be in this
Conference room.
Be in the conference room, right here, as you go out and be on your left going out, on your right coming in. It's a big room right here, side of it. All right. Okay, let's see. So that's table there. All right, so that table, right?
All that. So now you go to item 10.
Yeah, item 10. Okay, we'll go to item 10, since this table moves to 10, the issue of limited obligation bonds. This is a public hearing.
Good evening. Brian Bourne, Assistant City Manager. I'll be presenting this item for Lisa Strickland, who is away at conference tonight. The City Council is requested to adopt the approving resolution to facilitate the issuance of limited obligation bonds, Series 2018B, to fund the construction of the Center Theater and the Science Center projects. The City of Monroe wishes to provide cultural and recreational venues in the downtown area. There are currently 2 projects being designed, the Monroe Science Center and the Center Theater. The city already owns the buildings for both of these projects and will be issuing debt to provide the money needed for the rehabilitation of these buildings. The Monroe Science Center, located at 318 East Franklin Street, will provide hands-on science-related exhibits and geared towards children through approximately age 13. Exhibits will have a correlation to Monroe and Union County businesses and heritage, namely aviation, aerospace, agricultural, medical, manufacturing. The facility will also serve to host events. Total project costs are estimated at approximately $4.9 million. Funding to purchase and design the building was provided by the Monroe Tourism Development Authority. Funding to purchase the adjacent property was provided by City's General Fund. It is estimated that about $3.6 million will be financed to complete this project, including renovation of the center, demolition of structures on the adjacent property, and some paving. Repayment of the loan will be from the Monroe Tourism Development Authority occupancy tax revenues. Center Theater, located at 118 South Main, will provide a space to rent or use as a movie theater, performing arts stage, and provide a space to host events. Total project costs are estimated approximately $6.6 million. Funding to purchase the theater and design was provided by the city's general fund. Funding to purchase the adjacent space next to the theater was provided by the Tourism Development Authority. It is estimated that $3 million will be financed to complete this project, including renovation of the theater building. Repayment of the loan will be from the city's general fund. The Center Theater will be the collateral for the financing of both projects. Since the project costs are still an early estimate, it is recommended that a not-to-exceed amount be approved, but only the actual project cost and bond issuance cost will be financed. The total limited obligation bond series 2018B offering that needs to be approved in the attached resolution is a not-to-exceed amount of $8.6 million. A financing schedule has been assembled, which is attached, and would allow for the closing to be on October 10th, 2018. Staff has had preliminary discussions with the LGC and the underwriting team, and work to update the city's official statement has already begun. The team is the same financing team that we used for our last two bond issues. They are familiar with Monroe, and they work well with us and work well as a team. Adoption of the Resolution 2018-39 will provide Council authorization to complete the steps necessary to issue the 2018B limited obligations bonds as follows. It will authorize the City Manager or Finance Director to proceed with negotiations for the installment financing contract to issue the debt. Authorize the Finance Director to file an application with the LGC for its approval of the installment financing contract and of all relevant transactions, and authorize the Finance Director with advice from the City Attorney to retain assistance of professionals deemed necessary to carry out the intention of this resolution. North Carolina General Statute 160A-20G requires that a public hearing be held to hear public comments prior to entering into a contract involving real property improvements. At the request of the Local Government Commission, the public hearing was held sooner than staff had originally planned. Due to timing, the call for the public hearing was not on the June agenda. However, the mayor approved the public hearing, and the hearing has been advertised as required by state statute. The reason for their wanting it a little earlier was historically in downtowns, the deals seem to be a little more complicated, so they wanted to make sure that all bases were covered regarding historic properties or those kinds of things. The new debt will be called Limited Obligation Bond Series 2018B. All financing documents are available for review in the Office of the Finance Director. And staff recommends that City Council consider adoption of the resolution R 2018-39 to authorize the issuance of limited obligation bonds series 2018B to provide funding for the Monroe Science Center and Center Theater projects. And I think the resolution is attached.
I have a question, Brian. I want clarity for myself. Okay, I think that the repayment of the loan of the Science Center is going to be through travel and tourism. Is that correct?
Through Science Center will be repaid through tourism.
Okay.
Center Theater through general fund.
Okay. And with the Center Theater, it started out as a private initiative, but now the city owns that, so it will be a city?
Yes, it's
so private individuals are no longer connected?
No, correct. There have been several tries from the private sector with this project over the years. Once they got to the certain points in the project, the deals kind of fell through.
Because at one time, the $3 million, they were supposed to come up with a certain amount of time, so that...
I think you're referring to possibly the partnership we have with a nonprofit, and that's still in place. We're still working with the Center Theater Development Board.
So let me ask, would they derive any income from this?
No. They will help us with the programming, the day-to-day kind of management duties of it. They will be kind of an advisory board to the city for the theater. But it will be a city-owned, city-operated facility.
Okay, one last question, well, two questions. one question. This board, will different citizens have an opportunity to go on that board to make sure that all citizens have a say as far as genre and everything? We want to make sure that it's inclusive.
I'm sure when that time comes, it will go through the Citizens Appointment Committee as far as the members and numbers of that
Maybe
board.
by application, not gonna
Right.
be anything. Last question. What's the estimated completion time?
We are looking at the 2019, October of 20, if all goes as planned. That will be for the Center Theater and the Science Center. The Science Center is a couple of weeks behind. Right now, and I'll just add this, the bids, they are working on bids for the Center Theater as of today, now. We're having the pre-construction conference with contractors Thursday. Bids are due August 9th. Let me get my dates straight. I'm keeping 2 or 3 projects, well, 4 in my head. The Science Center, we will be putting out to bid July 29th with a pre-construction conference August 7th, the bids being due August 21st. And that timeline, deadline for the Science Center was set by the LGC.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions, Brian. Are we going to have to use a part of the tax increase that was just passed in this year's budget to
That was
fund this?
solely dedicated for the police department.
So we're able to do this without a tax increase?
Correct.
Okay. People had always been told that if we took on projects of this size, that it would require a tax increase.
If I'm understanding correctly, the 3 cent is solely for the purpose of the police department. That's all we can use it for.
Okay.
Well, actually, I think it's fair to say that the rate was a rate increase that was geared towards. I don't believe from a property tax standpoint that is required to be used solely for that, but that was council's intention.
Right.
But that was the intent of the increase.
Okay, so if we're lucky enough to get both of these projects within budget for the $6.6 million rather than going all the way up to the $8.6 million, how much would the debt be on that?
Okay.
On the $3.6 million each year?
I've got it broken down for the Center Theater and the Science
Okay.
Center, and I have an average annual.
Okay,
For the Center Theater, which is general fund,
right.
the average annual is $244,108.
Okay,
For the Science Center, which is the occupancy tax from
Okay.
tourism, the average annual is $199,237, and that's a 20-year term.
okay. What is the anticipated annual operating for the Center Theater?
That, we are still working for both of them with finance to develop business plans for both. So we're still trying to get a handle on that.
Okay, and so the Science Center is the same thing. We don't know what the annual operating would be?
Correct. We're coming close to getting ideas, but we don't have that completely fleshed out yet.
Now, with the Science Center, since this is a TBA initiative, would the TBA also be picking up the cost of the annual operating costs on the Science Center plus the debt payments on the Science Center?
Yes,
That's the current plan, Mr. Jordan,
that's the
Okay.
plan.
for the facility to be self-sustaining and for the revenues to pay the use and the debt service.
Okay. And one of the reasons I'm asking these questions is because in reading our petition to the General Assembly to allow us to do prepared meals and beverage tax, it was stated that we needed that money to fund the Science Center and the Center Theater, and I think that was the presentation that you made to the chamber as well. And apparently the timing was not such where we were able to get that done.
We're advised to put it off till the long session.
Why would we need to still do it in long session if we're not having to raise taxes in order to make the payments on the debt, and we're able to move forward without any additional burden to the taxpayers?
If my name's Stuart, if we are able to gain that prepared meals tax, that would free up the money that we would currently use and allow us to reinvest it in the community in another project.
What kind of projects in the community would it be invested in?
It's up to what the community and what the tourism board would like to pursue. We've looked at over the past 5-10
Well,
years.
okay, all right, then that's for the science. That's for the science center. But
Yes,
but I'm also, but the Center Theater is also a part of that. So what kind of, we're looking at $3.6 million that could possibly be used towards some other projects throughout the city. What kind of projects do you think it might be used?
You know better than I what our city
I know what could be done.
Yes, sir.
But we've got a very captive audience here, and again, we've been told in the past that we could not build a nice facility to be used without a significant tax increase. And I see that we don't have to do the tax increase in order to do nice facilities.
I thought some of that prepared meal tax you're talking about, and the way I understood it, some or all or whatever portion was going to be used to help the upkeep of it for the expense of it.
The upkeep, possible future expansion, and again, that would free up existing money that you would otherwise be paying towards the debt service to allow for other projects.
Council, one other issue though with the prepared food and beverage taxes, as we were advised to not push for it because it would not be considered by the General Assembly in short session. That is an item that would be brought back for your consideration for the long session agenda. So at that time, you'll also be able to determine whether or not you wish to move forward with it at all. You're not bound by your prior decision on that. You could decide as a group to move forward with it or not move forward with it. I just want to make sure that everyone who may not have been following it as well as the council has and staff is aware of that as well.
Okay, and again, it's just troubling that we don't have an annual cost of operations for either one of these projects, and we're getting ready to go ahead and put them out to bid and start building them without knowing what kind of an impact the operations of each project might have on general fund.
We are in the process. We do have preliminary numbers. A lot of it is guesswork that we're stealing from other organizations that are similar size and scope as far as staffing, electric, water usage, taxes, cleaning, upkeep. We are developing that, and we should have that probably before the project goes out to bid. So we're in the process of implementing all that and having all that we have to have that for the LGC as well as our finance folks.
Yeah, that's a requirement.
You have an estimation for the Center Theater?
As far as what, ma'am?
The
Operating? You got an estimation for the science?
Yeah, we're doing the same. We're right in the same
Okay.
In the same boat, kind of gathering electric usage, water usage, gas usage, staffing, salaries, and volunteer, all that information. It's a lot of information to gather.
You have a tentative date when that might be completed?
I think once the bid is awarded and construction is started with the Science Center, I think we allow 270 days from that point. So hopefully September, October of next year, both of these facilities will be online and being crown jewels for the city of Monroe.
Okay. Now with the Center Theater, is that going to fall on the Parks and Recs? How is that going to fall as far as what?
We're in the process of fleshing that out as well, ma'am, with the structure and the governance of it, since it is partially tourism, it's partially downtown. Preliminary looks that it would fall under me, then under Brian, possibly a consolidation and a realignment of department. We're working that out as well. I think you'll probably see some sort of presentation come before you, and the city manager and I have had preliminary discussions before the end of the year. We're putting that all together as well.
That's all the questions I have.
Any other questions? All right, let me see where I'm at here. This is a public hearing. Anyone here who would like to speak? Okay. Hearing none, close the public hearing.
Move to approve. A second.
I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that passed. Thank you very much. Okay, item 11, resolution approving a 3-year agreement with Union County for Urban County Community Development Block Grant.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Manager, Attorney, and Madam Clerk. I am Teresa Campa, representing the Planning and Development, Community Development Division. I'm here to present a resolution to ask you to authorize the City Manager to sign the new 3-year intergovernmental cooperative agreement with Union County. In 2015, you partnered with Union County to become an urban county, one of 5 recognized entitlement counties throughout the nation. By federal law, all projects must be approved in partnerships every 3 years. We were unable to take this to committee because we received the agreement on June 21st. And they need it back to HUD on the 20th, which is Friday. So they are looking for us to have it authorized and signed and returned back to them. The city is historically the largest recipient of the grant funds, and currently we are putting in 2,100 linear feet along Concord Avenue, which we plan to have completed next year. And we aren't sure what these funds would be used for, but we would be asking and coming back for budget amendments before council to approve those things for the other 3 years. So what we are looking for is for the authority for the manager to sign the agreement and to be able to sign the subrecipient agreements for each additional 3 years that are carried out throughout this agreement.
Okay, would you define for us what would you say urban community?
An urban community.
Define for us what that means.
Yes, ma'am. So an urban community allows a status of small cities to stand up with entitlement cities that have populations of 100,000. So by combining our population with other small cities in Union County, we are able to compete for those larger amount of money. And we received $337,000 worth of federal funds during this time.
We have or we will?
We have, and we anticipate that we are going to receive a little over $900,000 when it's completed.
And do we have some ideas in mind on how we're going to use that large block grant?
What we've received for this 3 years? Yeah. Yes, it'll go in for the installation of the public infrastructure, which is the 2,100 linear feet of sidewalk on Concord Avenue. And that project is within a low to moderate income census tract and should be for the benefit of low to moderate income individuals.
And in 3 years, then we'll come back again to...
Well, this is our 3-year term, so next year we would be asking for additional funds from the county. We'll attend the public hearing just like we did this year and ask for them to give us more money towards the construction of the sidewalk. We were originally given design funds, and so now we came back and we're given construction funds, and we would look for those types of projects that deal with green space and public infrastructure because that is what the county has put forward as their eligible activity.
That's 2,100 feet, is that what you said?
2,100 linear feet of sidewalk.
Okay, and where will it start and end?
It's going to start at Lomax and end at Old Charlotte. And we're having our first public hearing on the 26th of July at 4 o'clock in the evening. It'll be a public meeting, I'm sorry.
Both sides of the street?
No, it's the side opposite of the school.
Okay. So that's right there. I hear you saying Concord Avenue, and I'm familiar with that area, but Lomax Street intersects with two different streets. Lomax intersects with Patton Avenue and intersects with Secret Shortcut. Now, if you start at Lomax, are you starting at Lomax that intersects with Secret Shortcut and coming down towards Concord Avenue? Or are you actually doing it on Concord Avenue?
We're actually doing it on Concord Avenue. So it's actually on the, when we walked it with the engineering firm, it is actually on the other, the closest landmark would be on the other side of the old skating rink. So it's the road that is the main pass-through road from the other side of the skating rink that'll be coming down all the way.
Well, okay, I just don't know where Lomax Street is at the old skating rink. I don't mean to be argumentative, I'm just
Well,
trying to get
Lisa,
it,
am I incorrect?
I'm trying to get in my mind where it's at. I'm sorry?
Up to where that crisis pregnancy place, that's Lomax up there.
It is, yes. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, you'll be starting there and come down to where, I can't believe.
Old Charlotte, where the point comes to
Yes,
Old
to the
Charlotte,
point.
we'll be bringing the sidewalk all the way up with the curbing up to that area.
Thank you for explaining that to me. Let me get it through my head. I didn't mean to be argumentative.
No,
I'm
I-
just trying to get where the sidewalk's gonna
I
be.
got you.
Now, if somebody asks me, I'll know how to tell it. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Nice job, Teresa. You
Any
did-
other
doing a
questions?
great
How much did the county receive as a part of it? Now, are they considered an entitlement grantee?
They do receive the admin funds. We do not receive any admin funds. They do administer that, and they contract with the Central Line of COG as a consultant.
How much did they receive in total?
I can't speak to how much they receive, but they're entitled to 20% of the overall.
Now, how much did this this grant bring
To the city?
into the county? Because it says that the county receives the grant. The county is the grantee. So how much did the county receive? Is what the city getting the $300,000? Is that all the county received, or did the county receive $2 million? What did the county receive?
The county originally received 1.5, and each year they were able to put in new applications to receive funds. And when we finish this 3 years, we will have received hopefully $987,000. But we also are competing with 4 other cities, and to make up those, and we do receive the largest amount. And for what the city has put in to leverage this, we have put in $4,400 for the environmental review, which was required by federal law that had to be completed prior to any commitment of funds. So for the city's investment, direct investment for that part of it, we've put out $4,400 for the environmental, and then the county has granted us the design funds, and then they came back and asked, because there were shortfalls in other cities, and so we put in additional applications to request to grab those funds for Monroe to enable us to do the construction for the sidewalk. So I'm not sure what the cities have received, because each city puts in the applications. I'm not sure what they'll receive in the end, and we may have an opportunity to come back and get additional funds in this current year if other cities fall short.
And I was interested that you said this is for low wealth communities, and it's targeted for people of low wealth. There is not another way that we could utilize funds for for low wealth people other than giving them sidewalks and water lines. There's not other opportunities for us to use monies to help those individuals out.
There are. CDBG funds have many opportunities for low to moderate income people that can range from housing to slum and blight and public health. However, the county's grant in partnership with the other cities, because it is a partnership, the purpose of these, the national objective is infrastructure. Now, staff did attend their last public hearing and open the door to expand that beyond sidewalks, and we were able to at least open the conversation regarding green space. We did mention housing as one of those options, but as it is now, the county's application does not authorize them for that at this point.
Okay. I would imagine that if the city chose not to be a participant, that would be very difficult for the county to continue to have that designation. Maybe we're not pushing as hard as we should push.
And being that we have a new 3 years, it is something that we've opened the conversation to. And this 3 years, you were locked into the infrastructure. And that was the conversation that occurred back in 2015. And now we'll have a new 3 years to do the new application, and we would certainly attend those public hearings based on what council wants us to do and to pursue and ask for that. But yes, we are a large partner, and we do look to grab as much money as we possibly can when there are other shortfalls. And the city of Monroe has been offered up as providing technical assistance in regards to getting through many of the barriers that smaller cities are experiencing. And Monroe is the one that's moving the fastest, and that's why we have gotten the largest portion of the allotment.
Well, and I understand that, and that's why I'm also concerned that we're the ones that have always done this type of work. The county has never done this kind of work. So we should be more adept in knowing what the needs of our communities are. So we should help to push the envelope forward for the needs of those communities.
Just my own personal knowledge, what are the other 4 cities?
I'm sorry, what?
The other 4 cities?
Lisa, can you help me out with that?
I know Wingate, Marshville. I'm wanting to say Indian Trail. Maybe Weddington or Waxhaw.
Waxhaw.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the 3-year cooperative agreement with Union County for Urban County Community Development Block Grant, and that was a good report.
Thank you very much.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Mayor, the only thing I just want to make sure for the record is y'all aware that this is essentially an interlocal agreement, so it's by approving the resolution you're doing that. So we just want to make sure that everyone understands it's an interlocal agreement with the county.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, out of pass. Item 12 is public comment period. Anyone here who would like to speak? Okay. If not, item 13, we're going to be going into closed session.
Up to you, but they.
I feel like I would have.
It's up to you, Mayor.
Come to our meeting on the 21st, okay? In fact, it'd be good if all the homeowners came.
I want to ask you,